OK, so get a load of this. The Guardian claims that football badges might be racist. A writer says that the boats on Manchester United and Manchester City's badges are linked to slavery, despite the fact that they're not, really. So Manchester's coat of arms, this is United now, has the image of a ship on it, and so does, of course, Manchester City's council's crest. So the city as a whole, the council, has a crest of a ship. Fans from both United and City have criticised this article. One supporter said it would be like being mad at the Italians for the Roman Empire. Of course, there is the old shipping canal, isn't there, in Manchester, which I appreciate that ships that size probably didn't sail on, but it does, I think, not indeed nod to the actual slave trade. I am joined now by former England footballer and legend, it must be said, John Fashnu. John, how are you?
Very well, thank you. Very well.
Yes. Oh, you're an absolute hero of mine. It's great to have you on the show. I'm actually genuinely starstruck. This is mega. Right, look, what do you make of this? Do you think that Manchester United and Manchester City, two big towering giants of English football, should be changing their badge because someone from The Guardian thinks that there's a big racist ship on it?
Well, I'm trying to find out, and I think everybody who's interested in football, and there's millions of us globally, we're trying to find out where this has actually come from. Because for years and years and years, everybody loved Manchester City, everybody loves Manchester United, and there was never any problem. So, number one, where does this actually come from? Let's see the proof. Let's see if this is really real. Because if it is, there's going to be a lot of people who are going to be very distasteful to the Manchesters. That's for sure.
Indeed. People are saying that Manchester has got a long history when it comes to the ship canal and the industrial heartlands, etc. And I'm just reading a thing here, which is from Graham Stringer. So he's the Labour MP for Blackley and Broughton. He's a Manchester United fan, I believe. He says, Manchester had nothing to do with the slave trade. People from the city at the time of the US Civil War in 1861 protested against slavery. What it looks like, John, is that someone who works at The Guardian has seen a picture of an old ship and assumed that it's got links to the slave trade. I mean, is this just a bit ridiculous, do you think?
Well, let's first of all, look, listen, as they say, and learn, because that's exactly what I thought when I first heard it. Read on the media, and as you know, our media is 20 times bigger than it used to be. It's a great story. I think if this was real, this story would have come out 10 years ago. Where was it then when we were playing in the game? Why is it now that it suddenly surfaced and everybody wants to run away from Manchester United or Manchester City?
John, do you think that things are going a little bit too far and that stories like this might be detracting from real, genuine racism that you probably do still hear on the terraces the odd time at football matches from some drunk idiots or whatever?
Well, I don't think it's something small. I think this could be something enormous. Because if it's true, then I'm sorry, I've been in the game 35 years, we will all be acting on it. There's a reason why. Nobody is going to start supporting clubs where racism has been born. I must say it, from the start right to the finish, I've seen racism. And I know how it's used to be getting better and better. So now to bring us back again would be terrible. And we'd have to follow it through.
So do you think, John, that if it is found that these ships in any way represent anything to do with the slave trade, Manchester United and Manchester City have to change their badges?
I think it would be a little bit more decent if they change their banners, from boats. There's obviously a reason. There's a reason why if we're going to believe it, there's a reason why they had the boats. And if they are not really connected that way, I think it would be very distasteful if they didn't change them, because it's already out. The story's already there, and everybody, if you're a black person, and there's many, many millions of us, you're going to be very distasteful if you go to a match and you're supporting Manchester City or Manchester United. That would be not good.
How far back do we go, though, John? I mean, would we then, after we've changed the badges, demand an apology from the Italians for the Roman Empire?
Well, I don't don't think it's as far as that. I don't think we get to the stage where we have to demand anything. This is what happened. This is what went by. I mean, for 35 years, I've been in the game of football, and we've never said boo to a goose. So we can't now start to dig up the past and start saying we want you to apologise. But let us move on positively and get rid of these things, which obviously affected a lot of people. A lot of people.
All right, John, look, thank you very, very much. Great to have you on the show. Much appreciated. It's John Fashnu there, who is a former England footballer, an absolute legend as well, it must be said. Now, this controversy over Manchester United and Manchester City, it got me thinking about other clubs and whether their badges should be cancelled. So Arsenal's badge has a gun from the Royal Armaments Factory, which we can all agree is terrible and shocking. This club glorifies the weapons used to slaughter people on behalf of the crown, and it must be cancelled. Newcastle's badge has a Norman castle, which represents a time when we were enslaved by the Normans. Seahorses as well there, apparently representing their seafaring heritage. Could that also be a reference to the slave trade? I mean, that's before we even got started on who owns Newcastle these days, isn't it? The Cadogan family, the aristocrats? Well, their coat of arms features heavily on the Chelsea badge. They've served numerous Conservative governments, including trying to protect the interests of the British Empire during the Second World War. And I think we could all agree that was disgusting. Yeah? They also own racehorses. God, it's double bad. Southampton Football Club was originally founded by St Mary's Church, and that is nowhere near diverse enough. The Hampshire Rose on their emblem is in reference to King Henry V awarding the rose for the bravery of the Hampshire archers during the Battle of Agincourt. That was colonialism. Terrible. And last but certainly not least, Leicester are called the Foxes, and the Fox's head on their badge was originally taken from a fox killed in a hunt in 1922. Animal cruelty on a grand scale, at its very worst. And I'll tell you what, Gary Lineker is a former Leicester player, and if Gary's got anything about him, he'll come out and he'll condemn this. He will absolutely condemn it. What do you make of this, ladies and gentlemen, hey? This is just a flavour, I think, now. A flavour of what the reality of cancelling everything, if you trace back everything to its absolute, complete and utter roots, would be. You'd be cancelling all of those. I mean, why not cancel the Premier League emblem? It's the lion, isn't it? I mean, that's in reference to a royal symbol. Well, if we're starting to hate the royals now, well, do we hate that as well? I mean, good grief. I did quite like it when there was a bit of a hoo-ha a few years ago. Some people might remember this, because UKIP did unveil their new emblem, and it got into a bit of hot water with the Premier League because it looked a bit too much like theirs. But